His O-line has been a little leaky lately, so Ben Fairbrother gets a chance to plug the hole. Damon Allen must find a way to get the Lions' explosive offense back on track after 2 lackluster losses.
Wally Buono is not happy with his defense. That's where Elijah Johnson comes in. He has to step things up. Buono has cut 2 regulars on D, which gives former Ticat Willie Phelps a chance to help turn things around.
30,000 of the most faithful fans in football are back at McMahon in Calgary, hoping the horror of this winless season for their Stampeders will be over tonight. It's another perfect evening for football in Alberta. 25 degrees, the wind south at 9K.
Perfect weather plus 2 frustrated teams should equal fireworks tonight.
Steve Barato arrived back in BC just in time to engineer a miracle run all the way to the Grey Cup and a victory right here at McMahon last November. He took over for Greg Mons, who left the Lions for an ill-advised adventure in the XFL.
On the other sideline, Wally Buono has never lost 4 games in a row here in Calgary, let alone the first 4 of the season. He has an overall record here at McMahon Stadium, 85-15. Last year lost just 1 game on home turf, but he's already done that this year. The team is 0-3, their worst start in a long time. Something's got to give for Wally Buono.
Steve Barato coached the BC Lions for a couple of seasons. It ended in 1985 when the Stampeders went 0-5. Both teams have made a couple of subtle changes tonight.
And Payne bench from the offensive line. Ben Fairbrother starts in front of him. Denny Montana wasn't getting open, so Ryan Thelwell gets a chance for BC. And for Calgary, 2 veterans cut. Jack Kellogg and Kevin Johnson both released this week.
Wally Buono's patience wearing a little thin in the last week after 3 straight losses, so the veterans are gone and new faces inserted into the lineup. Stampeders really feel that they should have won that game against the Eskimos last week. In fact, Wally said we just gave it to them. We handed it right back.
Well, they've moved the ball offensively but haven't scored, and defensively they're giving up big plays, and that's been a problem for this team over 3 weeks.
Let's get it underway. Here's Matt Kellett to kick it off for BC. Antonio Warren on the return out across the 35 to about the 39. Marcus Crandall gets his 3rd straight start for the Stampeders. While he's winless in his first 2, he has showed improvement every time out. Played well in the last 5 quarters, according to Wally Buono, and completed 69% of his passes. The numbers aren't bad.
No, he really is doing a nice job when you consider his passing completion percentage. Just not putting the ball in the end zone often enough.
Apparently there was an infraction on the kickoff, and I didn't see a flag down there anywhere.
5-yard penalty, re-kick.
It's an offside, so the BC Lions will have to kick it over again 5 yards back, so they'll be kicking from their own 30, which should give the Calgary Stampeders good field position to start this game.
Now if the kickoff goes out of bounds, it's the receiving team's choice whether they want it at the 45 or not. But this was an infraction. Away from that, it was inbounds.
Well, Kelvin Anderson and Antonio Warren back there. They should, with any kind of return here, have better than the 45 field position.
Kellett's 2nd kick. It's Warren again. Across the 30. He's got the 40, 45, 50, and right out across the 55-yard line into Lions territory. Marcus Crandall has 4 gifted receivers led by Travis Moore, Mark Boerichter, and Vince Danielson. Kelvin Anderson averages 5.3 yards every time he carries the ball. And up front, Fred Childress and Thomas Ram anchor a massive offensive line. Tonight's starting lineups brought to you by Midas. Keep a good thing going. Go Midas. What a great way for the Stampeders to begin. Right on the 55. Crandall near side has Travis Moore. Moore bounced off 1 of the Lion defenders. That's Levon, and Jones got over to make the tackle after that.
Well, it's an aggressive BC Lion defense that ranks 1st against the pass in the CFL after 3 weeks. Mike Fletcher at linebacker is having a great start to the year. And Byron Capers in his debut a week ago played pretty well in the secondary for the BC Lions. And Eric Carter returns to the lineup after a sore shoulder. Mike Fletcher, what a start to the year he's had.
And what a hairdo.
Yeah,
he has already won Do of the Year award.
He sort of let it go, didn't he?
12-yard gain. Another Stampeder first down. This is Calvin Anderson for a couple. Just inside the 40.
Well, Calvin Anderson always the key for this offense for the Calgary Stampeders. Get him involved early and you got a chance. In game one, they had a good chance to beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Calvin Anderson was over 100 yards in that game, but since then he's been under 50 2 weeks in a row. Not good enough for number 32.
Not for a guy who's used to picking up 1,000 yards a season. He's done it 5 straight years now. Second down. Crandall looks one way, and then over the middle he's got Bo Richter. And Big Bo has a first down. He's down to the 27-yard line. Bo Richter has not been used real effectively by Crandall so far this season. That's just his 8th catch of the year.
Well, one of the reasons for that is that Mark Bo Richter plays on the opposite side of Travis Moore. Travis Moore usually the first target that Marcus Crandall will look at. He had a tremendous rookie season a year ago, over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. Hasn't been used a lot because Crandall's been a little locked into Travis Moore. Bo Richter feels that that will improve as the season progresses.
Another 12-yard gain for the Stampeders. First down at the line 27. Calvin Anderson, great run inside and finally fired down by Derek Lewis. But Anderson got all the way to the 15.
It looks like the Calgary offensive line is fired up for this game. Big Fred Childress, who's moved over to the tackle position, was just bouncing around after that big run from Calvin Anderson. Pretty pumped up and getting his line mates pumped up as well.
Third time the Stampeders have picked up 12 yards from the 15 now. Another Calgary first down. Crandall goes to the shotgun. Quick release. And Anderson sliding out of the backfield. He couldn't hang on.
Lee Vaughn, corner for the BC Lions, have come up a couple of times to make big hits on Calgary receivers. First of all, it was Travis Moore in the first series. Then it went to Calvin Anderson in this series. And both times he's sort of been the nail, not the hammer. Calvin Anderson is just going to take off to the left of your screen. Watch Lee Vaughn, number 26, come up and try to put a hit on him, even though he doesn't catch it, and takes a little bit of the brunt of the hit on that one. That's the second one in a row for Lee Vaughn.
2nd and 10. Stampeders at the BC 15. Early going. Opening quarter at McMahon. Crandall looks to the end zone. He's too high. And that intended toss for Travis Moore.
And you know what? He's lucky he was high because Byron Capers was coming across. If that ball's on target, Capers intercepted and he's going the other way. So Calgary Stampeders get a field goal attempt out of what should have been an interception by Byron Capers.
An impressive drive, but Calgary has to settle for 3.
Capers last week did a real nice job against Curtis Marsh versus Saskatchewan in his first game as a BC Lion.
Mark McLaughlin. Good on 9 of 10. Make that 10 of 11 for Mark McLaughlin, who announced this week this would be his final year as a Calgary Stampeder. To sparkle in 3 games this season, but it's only a matter of time before he finds the key to success for this BC offense. Those numbers are not typically Damon, are they?
No, definitely not. Not when he's completing just about 50% of his passes.
Sean Millington out across the 40 to about the 42. Allen has one change in the receiving corps with Ryan Thelwell in to take some heat off Alfred Jackson. The runners are Millington and Drummond, and they have yet to get rolling. That is made for one change up front with Ben Fairbrother starting in place of Dan Payne.
Real excited to see what Ryan Thelwell can do in this BC lineup tonight. He's getting a chance to start. He's going to play every play. Denny Montana will come in when they bring in the extra receiver, but it'll be interesting to see what Thelwell can do here tonight.
2nd and 5. Allen stands in. Near side toss for Sean Graham. And it was well off target.
Well, not typical Calgary defense over the last 3 weeks. They ranked 7th versus the run, 4th against the pass and dead last in points given up through the season. Elijah Johnson and Fleming have to play better. Greg Frères, the safety, is pretty much the only consistency in that secondary along with Anthony Pryor. The rest are newcomers, and they'll be tested tonight.
Bo Richter is deep for this return. Matt Kellett standing back at his 27 for BC. Snap is high. They had problems with that 2 weeks ago. Kellett will be lucky to kick it through the end zone.
Great move by Matt Kellett to do that, though, because if he gets tackled on the 5-10 yard line, obviously Calgary with great field position and are knocking on the door to score the major. And he almost didn't get the handle. Jason Kralt 2 weeks ago had problems with the snap. He put 3 over Matt Kellett's head that turned into safeties against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and a big reason why they lost that game. Last week versus Saskatchewan,
he was perfect.
It looked like he had fixed the problem, and he was perfect in all his snaps in the punt formation. And right out of the gate, he put one over Matt Kellett's head. But a wise move by Kellett. Pick it up, kick it out of the back of the end zone, because look at that. That's the 5 yard line if he's tackled right there.
Aldi Henry was breathing down his neck.
2 points instead of 7.
2 is better than 7, but it's not a happy thing for the BC Lions. Down 5-0 now.
Well, it's still a bit of a work in progress as Jason Kralt at the snapping position. You know, something he has never done. He didn't do at Carleton, where he played college football before that program folded, and he's just been working on it over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Obviously a work in progress. You just got to shake it off.
You say a work in progress, that's exactly what it is, as Steve Barato tries to organize this BC Lion offense. That has been the real Achilles heel for the Lions so far this season. In spite of all the changes on defense, that side of the line is held together a little bit better. Antonio Warren. Across the 30, away from a couple there. Broke another one. He's out to the 40-yard line. A couple of nice returns for Antonio Warren so far tonight. A 20-yarder that time. Keys for success tonight as defined by Glenn Suter.
Well, we've talked about it all week long. It's feed off the Hogs. The big guys up front in the offensive line have got to play better for the Lions. For Calgary, it's the other side of the ball that they've had problems, and it's been with the big plays. 6 touchdowns over 25 yards in the first 3 games. Too many for Calgary. They got to eliminate the big plays, and boy, desperation day for both teams, isn't it?
Sounds like the title of a movie, Desperation Day. But when you've only won 1 of 6 games between 2 teams that should be better than this, it is exactly that. Calvin Anderson slides off 1 and grabs about 3 yards. 6,040 career yards and 60 touchdowns for Kelvin Anderson coming into this one tonight.
And he's crawling up the list for the Calgary Stampeders all time.
Well, he's doing more than crawling when you really look at it.
Well, he's vaulting.
He's vaulting up
vaulting.
there. Yeah.
And will be #1 provided he doesn't get nicked or injured throughout the year before his career is over.
Chasing some rather illustrious company. 2nd down. Nice catch at the 50-yard line. Vince Danielson laid out and grabbed that one right on the 50. It should be the 1st down. The pass wasn't exactly a classic, but the catch got close to it.
Well, Vince Danielson is going to come all the way. He's going to come all the way across the formation and then run the out. And when he does, Bo Lewis has to try and pick him up. Lewis picks him up on the far side of the field and is right there. That ball is put just to the outside, and Danielson comes up with the catch.
Well, Danielson comes up inches short of a 1st down. So a sensible gamble for the Stampeders here at their own 50.
Well, and it's a good time to gamble. You got to get your offense some confidence. You know, we talked about them moving the ball throughout the first 3 weeks of the season. They have been doing that, and they did in the first series again, but they came away with a field goal. They have problems finishing off drives, and obviously a concern for Wally Buono. It's tougher when you get inside that 15-10 yard line.
Stampeders are not the only CFL team having difficulty doing that this season. Lions are in the same boat, and that'll be a first down. Hamilton Tiger Cats went 2 weeks with Paul Osbaldiston really leading the way in points.
Well, oftentimes offensively you're a little bit behind the defense to start a season, and that's largely because it's more complicated, a little bit more complicated on the offensive side of the ball. You've got a whole bunch of plays done to learn and understand, and that goes across the board. You've got to get all your players on board, and especially when you have a new quarterback in there like Calgary has.
That's why they put the Rhodes Scholars on offense, right?
Yeah, and they just put the athletes on defense.
On first down, it's Kelvin Anderson again. Running well tonight. Anderson somehow squeezed under the pile, and he's out to the 50. Herman Smith made the tackle. Anderson found extra yardage.
Well, that's twice that the Calgary Stampeders have run right behind Jamie Crysdale, number 67 there, working on Noah Cantor. He pushes Noah Cantor back about 6 yards, and that's the second time they've done that, because that's exactly where Marcus Crandall went on the gamble, right behind his center, Jamie Crysdale. In his 9th season, all with the Calgary Stampeders.
One change along that Calgary offensive line with David Heisman taking over for Rocco Romano, who retired. Good fake by Crandall. He still got it and dives for the first down on second and about a yard to go.
The Calgary Stampeders were trying to sneak Scott Regenbald out into the pattern, but Eric Carter picks him up. Regenbald is going to come this way in your screen and then try and go out in the flat. And when he does, Eric Carter, who's back in the game first time after missing 2 with a shoulder injury, you see him pick him up to the right of your screen, gives him a jam and runs right in his hip pocket. So Marcus Crandall really has nowhere to throw the football.
He did the next best thing, grabbed 4 yards in the first down.
They're happy to get Eric Carter back in the lineup.
From the 46, goes down, and it's Kelvin Anderson with another giant hole. Grabbed from behind, and the flag goes down. Mike Fletcher got over to make the tackle. I think it might have been a face mask.
Well, I think that's what they initially thought. Now it just depends on whether or not it was around the face mask or over the shoulder pads.
Face mask. BC number 2.
Eric Carter.
First down.
Playing the wide side of the field. Big hole on that left side. That's where Fred Childress lines up normally. And there comes Calvin Anderson. Here's the end of the play. Eric Carter, number 2, does get a piece of the mask and then goes down to the shoulder pad. So a good call by the officials. And the left side of that offensive line for Calgary really doing their job so far in this one.
Another Stampeder first down at the Lions 21. 4 receivers far side of the field. Crandall looks in the opposite direction and now decides to take off. Marcus Crandall sliding safety at the 10-yard line.
Once again, big chill. Fred Childress blocked Herman Smith one-on-one and took him out of the play and out of the hole. Look at this. Here is Fred Childress. Here is Herman Smith. He's going to drive him right down in here and open up a huge hole for Crandall. Watch the block. Hands right on Herman Smith, drives him right into the middle and opens up that gaping hole for Crandall to run through. And is right up there. It'll be second down, but only by a couple of inches.
Byron Capers got over to put the final stop on Crandall. So a much better start for Wally Buono's Calgary Stampeders in this one. Penalties have hurt the Lions.
Crandall coming off a big game last week versus Edmonton, running the football. He had 102 yards rushing in that loss versus the Eskimos. So he's using his legs a little bit throughout the season. But once again, the Calgary Stampeders put together a nice drive. Can they finish the drive is the big question, and one that's been a question for a lot of people here in this city over the last 2 weeks.
Just outside the 10. Second down, inches to go. Calgary, Crandall over the top. And the drive will continue for the Stampeders.
George Cortez calls all the plays, and it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Could be Jeff Garcia, could be Dave Dickinson, could be Doug Flutie. Cortez is calling the plays.
How about Jeff Garcia? 6 years, $36 million with the 49ers. Decided that this week he can come back and buy the league.
That'd be good. That'd be nice. and play quarterback on one of the teams.
Whichever one he wanted. First and goal from the Lions 8. Markers are down. And there was early movement down there.
Well, the BC Lions in 3 weeks have really established themselves as a blitzing defense, putting everyone on the line of scrimmage and going after people. And one way to beat a blitzing defense is to attack it. And that's what Calgary's doing so far. It was offside BC.
Offside, BC, number 91. First down repeated.
Was Herman Smith getting a quick start.
They go half the distance to the goal line and get first down rather than take the yardage. They were both the 2nd-yard line, so take the penalty, go half the distance, get your down over, and now you got 3 chances to get it in from here.
Yeah, from just inside the 5. First and goal to go, Stampeders. Already leading 5-0.
Interesting formation. Got all the receivers in tight.
Calvin Anderson is about halfway to the goal line. Gain of 2.
Well, that's an interesting formation because usually when you get down in there, you're putting in your big elephants or your bigger players and taking the receivers out. This time, the Calgary Stampeders on first down. These are receivers out here. Little guys, but they're lined up in tight. So you got the big formation, but you got little players in there. And what it does is it keeps the smaller DBs on the field. And what you're hoping is to get a mismatch with a big lineman on a DB. Now Calgary can't get it done on first down.
This is an impressive drive for the Stampeders, beginning back at the 40.
Second down.
And this is the 11th play.
Now they got the big guys in there.
Second and goal to go from the 2. Randall himself, and he's not going to get there.
Oh, boy.
I'm not so sure that that was the main plan when they started the play.
Mark Bullrichter immediately turned around and is looking at Wally Buono and wants him to gamble in this situation. Running the option to the right, the fake up in the middle. Crandall just can't get there. Cameron Legault is the first tackler for the BC Lions, and the Calgary Stampeders are going for it.
The fake was to Scott Dieberts. The play didn't work, so here are the Stampeders. Third and goal to go at the BC Lions 2. You like the call? Crandall doesn't make it.
No.
Now you hate the call.
You notice how I waited until after the play was run. You know, not a bad call for Wally Buono when you consider that this team has struggled down in the red zone, but they're turned away with no points. 2 drives in this game. They've come away with 3 points in 2 drives and been way down inside.
No touchdown, no field goal. It's still 5-0 Calgary. Lions head coach Steve Barato has to be ecstatic about the goal line stand. And when you look at time of possession, he's got to be happy that he's only down by 5.
Well, it should be 14-0 Calgary right now, but he got a good stand out of his defense. Wally Buono talking to his quarterback on the other side, saying, listen, we get down inside the 10, we got to come away with major.
Lions begin at their own 1-yard line. And there's very little room inside against the BC or the Calgary front 4 for Sean Millington.
Jeff Traversy is the guy who stepped up in there on Millington and took him out of the play. Don't be surprised in this game if the BC Lions can get decent field position, which obviously they don't have in this situation. But as the game progresses, to go back to that shovel series where they have Damon Allen moving to his left or right and have the running back underneath him. He wants to get that more involved in the offense in this one.
2 yards for Millington. That's 2nd and 8 facing Allen now. And there was early movement again, and penalty markers come down.
When you think back to last year in the playoffs, and of course the Grey Cup game played right here in Calgary against Montreal, it was the shovel series that was so potent against every football team they played last year.
BC, number 59, still 2nd down.
It's Craig Hendrickson out at left tackle. Offensive line did play better last week after a horror show in Hamilton when the Lions couldn't get anything done. That was in week 2. 2nd and 10. Allen near side. He's on the money, and that should be a first down. No, Thelwell was not in bounds when he made the catch. That's Ryan Thelwell who held on, and they waved him out of bounds.
Well, I love the play by Damon Allen, though. Look like you're rolling to your left and then peel back on what looked like a bootleg. You only need 1 foot, and it's a great call by the officials because the first foot that came down for Ryan Thelwell was his left, and it was on that white stripe. Now,
you think about giving up 2 here?
Yeah, based on Jason Kralt's last snap, and based on Matt Kellett being young, yeah, I'd give up 2 here and take the field position. Well, they got a new snapper now, Mike Moore.
He can give up the 2 himself. He just fires it over his head. Kellett does give up 2 points, so it's a 7-0 advantage for the Stampeders. 1:43 to go in the opening quarter at McMahon. In Calgary this week, he gets a chance to play against the team that cut him. Sherry?
Well, guys, some strong words coming from Calgary linebacker Kelly Lockbaum this week. See, the BC Lions cut him 3 weeks ago. For the past 21 days, he's been plotting revenge against his old team. He feels he was good enough to start there, and now he wants to pay them back. He says he will make the BC Lions look stupid tonight and knock someone out in the process.
Well, this might be his best chance to do it. He's out there on special teams now. And actually blocked one of his own players after a 17-yard return. Antonio Warren heads to the sidelines.
Well, in fairness to Kelly Lockbaum, when he was cut by Steve Barato told him, listen, you did have a pretty good camp. You played well enough to make this team, probably make some other teams, but our direction at the linebacking core is going to be to put an import in your position, and that's when they changed things up and went with Barron Simpson at linebacker instead of Lockbaum. So Lockbaum was looking for work, and he does want to play well tonight, no question. But being only on special teams makes it tough to make another team look stupid, if that's what he was saying.
Stampeders 1st and 10. Back near the 30. Kelvin Anderson. Makes you wonder why they didn't go to Anderson when they had a couple of cracks at it inside the 4-yard line.
I think the BC Lions here, John, are going to get a penalty. They were yelling at the officials afterwards.
Lions have taken a couple of dumb penalties so far tonight.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. BC number 27. First down.
Toya Jones, linebacker, looking with Vince Danielson, just gave him a little headbutt after the fact. Unnecessary roughness may be a strong word for that. Unnecessary headbutt, I don't know. But roughness is a little strong.
Regardless, it's 1st and 10. Calgary out at the 49 now. Crandall unloads in a hurry, far side. He's got his man. Travis Moore out to midfield, right on the 55.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders have had problems offensively. It certainly hasn't been with Travis Moore. He's had a great season so far, 18 catches, 269 yards. Coming into this game, which is number 1 in the Canadian Football League. The only problem with Moore's numbers is that big goose egg down at the bottom. No touchdown catches yet for Travis Moore. And that's not necessarily his fault. He's getting open. He's just not getting the football down in the goal line area.
At 5 yards there, this is 2nd and 5. It's Kelvin Anderson, and he'll be short of the first down. David Benefield coming up to make the stop with a little help from Toya Jones.
David Benefield is playing on a bad ankle, his left ankle. He played pretty well last week. He's right here, and he's going to step up and work on Fred Childress. He's had his problems so far. Childress blocks down, so that gives Benefield a chance to step up, get some penetration, and Calvin Anderson in the backfield.
This should be the last play of the opening quarter. Lions looking at another 3rd down gambit. It'll be 3rd, less than a yard to go.
Empty out the backfield for the Calgary Stampeders.
Interesting play as they go to Cummings, and he's wide open near side. Aubrey Cummings has a first down. Great call when it works.
Well, it could be a point where the BC Lion defensive backfield just sort of relax. When they do, Aubrey Cummings takes advantage of it. They're thinking quarterback sneak, and it didn't happen.
Huge first down for the Stampeders on the final play of the opening quarter. Aubrey Cummings has the ball at Calgary's first down. Here are the numbers after 1 quarter here in Calgary. Time of possession definitely
well,
on the Stampeders side.
We'll just give the whole quarter to the Calgary Stampeders. By the way, if you're doing the math and adding up passing and rushing, minus 34 net yards also includes when Matt Kellett had to give up the safety. But 0 yards passing for the BC Lions so far after a quarter of play.
Well, I think the Lions are fortunate to be down by only 7 points. Marcus Crandall throwing on the run, far side, and he'll have another first down. Mark Boerichter, nice fake in there for Crandall, and Boerichter makes the catch and steps out. Second of the evening for Boerichter.
When Calvin Anderson is going well, that allows the Calgary offense to use this fake and get Marcus Crandall outside, because the defense for the BC Lions have to flow and respect Calvin Anderson. That's the big difference. When your running game is effective, your play action passing game, your bootleg game, which is what Crandall just did, becomes that much more appealing.
13-yard gain sets the Stampeders up at the Lion 25. This BC defense has been on the field for a long time already. Calvin Anderson for a couple. In behind Heisman and Crysdale. Stopped by David Benefield.
Well, I hope the BC Lion defense ate their Wheaties this morning, because they're going to need a good pregame meal. They've been on the field the entire first quarter, and Gary Echeverry standing there sending signals out for the second quarter now. Your defense is on the field that long. I don't care if they're ranked first in any categories, which the Lions are against the pass. You're going to wear down before long.
So he's 2nd and 8. Crandall looks to the end zone, has more, and it's neatly covered and batted away by Byron Capers.
Byron Capers did the right thing at the very end of that play, and that was to get his head around and look back towards the football. Travis Moore and Byron Capers were going one-on-one. There's Travis Moore right there, and he's just going to try and run the post pattern. Watch what he does. Capers picks him up. He's playing basically the safety position. Now watch at the end of the play. Peeks back to the ball right there, and that allows him to almost screen Travis Moore and get away with it, and then he knocks it down. It's that peek back to the football that sold it to the officials. And Moore still has the goose egg in touchdowns.
Capers had a pretty good week in his first on his return to the BC Lions last time against Saskatchewan. McLaughlin for 3 more, and it's 10-0 Calgary. BC Lions defense holding again and giving up just 3. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football.
Here he is right now. He goes straight to the ball in this situation.
This is his chance to show a little something to his former teammates and coaches. Nice return. Tyrone Taylor.
Taylor ran away from Kelly Lockbaum. Let's take another look at, he's going to be running hard. His job on the kickoff cover is to go straight to the football. Cedric Curry, it's a little bit of holding to push him wide on Taylor, and then it's just a foot race. So Kelly Lockbaum not getting that big hit he's looking for, and he's searching for it.
It'll likely come somewhere along the way tonight.
Well, the other thing is, when the Calgary Stampeders are receiving the punt, he's working against Ian Williams, which is the guy that basically beat him out in BC.
There's the shovel pass we're talking about, and it wasn't very effective. Robert Drummond took the shovel from Damon Allen.
Craig Hendrickson, one of the guys that is basically on the bubble, and he's actually the guy who told me that before the game. He said, I've got to have a good game in this one, and he's working one-on-one on James Cotton. Really does his job. Only given up 1 sack in 3 games, so he's not playing as poorly as people may think.
First completion for the Lions is a shovel pass that goes for 2 yards. 2nd and 8. Allen stands in. Had to rethink it and fired it high for Ryan Thelwell. Thought about running for a split second, and that didn't work. And overthrew the receiver.
Yeah, let's take another quick look at Craig Hendrickson, because, he's been criticized a lot throughout the week, as the rest of this offensive line has. And once again, here he is. This time he's working on Fleming. That's not easy, but good second effort. Watch him push Fleming past Damon Allen, giving him that extra second to look downfield. So basically, one more time, Craig Hendrickson has his man and does his job. That would be 2 pluses when he was graded after the game.
3rd 2 and outs for the BC Lion offense. Matt Kellett standing at his 30. Nice kick. Whoa. Chasing Antonio Warren right back to the 2. Out to about the 12, and he's wrapped up there by Mike Moore and Warner Hendren. Still 10-0 Stampeders.
He's had a great start to the season. Mike Fletcher has a sack, has an interception on the year, has the great hair. You mentioned that. And I mean, he is everywhere. Last week versus Saskatchewan on one play, tackled the receiver, got up, and then tackled the quarterback. He was just all over the field versus Saskatchewan.
Stampeders deep in their own zone. Around the 11 for a first down. That's Antonio Warren with a carry.
You know, and Mike Fletcher isn't a big guy. I mean, this is a guy that is 5'10", 200 pounds. Another one of these players that came to the CFL as a defensive back. He played halfback at the beginning of his career, and then this was last year, and then moved a little bit to safety. But he tackled so well and was so aggressive, they moved him up a level. Now he's playing in the linebacking core and doing a great job up there.
Lions have not been impressive along the ground. 2nd and 8. Opportunity for the interception. Travis Moore made the catch.
You remember early in the game, John, when Lee Vaughn tried to come up and be real aggressive on Travis Moore and got knocked down, and then he tried to be real aggressive on Calvin Anderson and got knocked down. Well, once again, Lee Vaughn comes up, and this time he tries to be a little more conservative and just wrap up and make the tackle. He misses Travis Moore. If he tackles him there, Calgary's punting. Travis Moore, who does a great job with the football after the catch, does it one more time against the Lions.
Finally forced out by Mike Crum after a 26-yard gain, and that gets the Stampeders out near the 40 with a first down. Antonio Warren tries the left side for about 4.
You know, it's not really surprising that Kelvin Anderson is playing well tonight, because Antonio Warren is starting to play well, and he's starting to open up the eyes of the coaching staff here in Calgary. Here's a guy that averages over 25 yards on kickoff returns and over 14 yards on punt returns. They want to see Antonio Warren with the football a little bit more often. That pushes Kelvin Anderson. Competition is always good.
And Warren had a pretty good preseason. So they really have to try and find a way to get him the football a little more frequently. Long toss, far side. Nice defensive play, and not quite the interception.
Yeah, Lee Vaughn was working one-on-one with Travis Moore right down the sideline, and it really was an amazing play. It looked like he knocked it out at the last second and almost intercepted it as well, but it was right along the sideline. I think the ball popped out as he hit the ground. It has been a bit of a rough night for Lee Vaughn, but he came up with a play there. And remember, defensive backs, always their best asset is to have a short memory. You get beat a couple times, you got to line up again.
Well, speed's kind of a nice asset to have back there, too.
Well, I never knew anything about that.
Duncan O'Mahony. Stampeders' new punter.
Taylor.
They've been happy with his performance so far, averaging 40.2 yards a kick.
Oh, Lockbaum.
And a marker goes down. In fact, there are 3 on the turf here at McMahon. Return of 2 yards and a 42-yard punt, and Lockbaum was in the center of things down there.
Yeah, he made the tackle as he was being clipped. So he's got one play under his belt now for Calgary. That will be the penalty. The clipping was on against him. Greg Pollard, I think it was. But he's right in the middle of things. Watch number 33 right there in the left of your screen, right on the hash mark, makes the tackle while being clipped.
Where'd he lose his shoe?
And did it with just one shoe.
It was back. He must have been a little over-enthusiastic down there and run right out of the thing, because it was well away from the play that he went to pick it up.
0 yards, Calgary, number 36. Legal block, BC, number 74.
94.
First down.
That was 94.
The Lions are down by 10 to the Calgary Stampeders on Wendy's Friday Night Football. For the BC Lion offense, again, that's the 3rd game in a row.
Pressure on the offensive line, which puts pressure on the offensive line coach, and that's Bill Dobson in charge of the big guys up front. Dobson since Saskatchewan last year with Gary Echeverry, and He's one of the guys who suggested to make the move and have Ben Fairbrother start in front of Dan Payne at that right guard position.
On first down, Allen has his man, and Pryor wrapped him up immediately. That's Ryan Thelwell with the catch.
So Ben Fairbrother gets the start at right guard. Dan Payne get a little bit of a wake-up call over there on the bench, and basically changes like that are just to stir up the veterans. Both Payne and Fairbrother are veterans. Payne's been in the league 12 years. 3 changes offensively for the BC Lions. Dan Payne for Fairbrother, we talked about that. And Montana wasn't getting open, so Ryan Thelwell starts.
Montana moved to a backup position for this one. Second down, and Damon Allen missed his target.
His target there was Robert Drummond, and Drummond was being covered by Willie Fells, the newcomer to the Calgary Stampeder linebacking core. And Fells, of course, played with the Hamilton Tiger Cats last year. Right on the top of your screen right there is the end. And look at how Fells is step for step with Robert Drummond. No place for Damon Allen to throw the football. And he, of course, steps in for Kevin Johnson. And talk about shaking things up. Nothing shakes the team up more than cutting a veteran. And Wally Buono cut 2 this week.
Yeah, Jackie Kellogg, defensive halfback, was released by the Stampeders yesterday. He had a tough week in Edmonton.
Also,
Antonio Warren in the dead run, and he's hammered by Sean Millington. Millington was waiting. Antonio Warren none the worse for wear, however.
Well, that's
5 on the return.
Just a good all-around football play. Antonio Warren catching the ball on the fly and fearless running up in there. And, of course, one of the best special team guys in the league in Sean Millington, making a nice form tackle and turning away Antonio Warren.
Lions' next home game is Saturday against the Alouettes. We'll be there for that. And hopefully the BC Lions offense will show up. Number to call to get tickets is right there, 604-589-AURORA.
Well, they better be, because Montreal will show up. You know that.
What a night the Alouettes had again last night to go 4-0. Quick release from Crandall. As Travis Moore, and Moore very close to a first down. In fact, he should have it. Gain is 12 yards for Travis Moore.
Again, the running game helping the protection with Marcus Crandall. Quick 3-step drop. Not a whole lot of time for a blitzing BC Lion defense to get there. They're attacking that blitzing defense with the running game, and then the quick passing game to get it out to Travis Moore. Doesn't give those linebackers a chance to get home.
The Lions do not have a first down yet. The Stampeders have 11 and 10 points on the board. Good fake by Crandall. He escapes the initial rush. Got a block there and escapes again, sliding at the 40. He'll be close to a first down. There is a marker down, however, at the 50.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a clip. It looked to me like Jeff Pilon, the backup offensive lineman in the game on that play, at the very end of it, see number 64 right there? He's going to get called on the clip, and it's going to be right there on Noah Cantor. 2 hands in the middle of the back. Down goes Cantor.
Legal block.
Calgary Stampeders will back it way up.
First down repeated.
1st and 20.
Just the second penalty for the Stampeders. The Lions have a bunch. They have 6 already.
David Hessman down on the sideline. He's the guy who got the start. Jeff Pilon in for him.
Stampeders looking at 1st and 20, back to the 50 now. Crandall shotgun, low snap. Dug it out, completes the pass out at the 50, more than halfway to a first down. Danielson comes down with it at the 50-yard line.
Well, look at all the guys on the line of scrimmage for the BC Lions. Again, coming with that blitz package, but the Calgary Stampeders slide to the protection. They move out there, give Marcus Crandall time to gather the football and find Vince Danielson down the field. They're going to bring some more receivers in for blocking help in that Calgary offense to try and take care of Gary Echeverry's blitzing D.
Danielson picks up 10 yards. This will be 2nd and 10 Calgary. 3 receivers far side. Crandall looks in that direction and throws over the middle. That one is tipped and intercepted.
Intercepted BC Lions.
Derek Lewis came up with the deflection. So there's the first break of the night for the BC Lions.
Yeah, Bo Lewis gets the tip drill. You work on it every single day in practice.
Okay.
Calgary Stampeders did have a couple open receivers down the field and looked like that ball just slipped through the fingers. Cantor got a piece of it. Mike Fletcher got a piece of it. Ended up in Bo Lewis's hands.
He got all of it.
He got all of it.
It's really time for Damon Allen to take control of this offense. 6:26 to go till halftime. The Lions do not have a first down yet. Hard to figure, isn't it?
Well, Damon Allen calls all his own plays. He gets suggestions on the sidelines from Steve Barato. And he's got help in the booth from Doug Nussmeier, who was last year's backup quarterback.
On first down, BC. Allen goes over the middle. And he's got Alfred Jackson, first catch of the night for number 7. He's the guy that gets doubled all day, and I'm not so sure that the Stampeders haven't been paying very close attention to him all night.
Alfred Jackson working right across the middle, and it's a big catch because he knows he's going to get hit from Greg Frer's the safety. The ball is on the money. It's the first real good hard throw by Damon Allen in this game. And it comes up with the first down of the game for the Lions.
16-yard gain. The Lions are down by 10. It could be a lot worse. Allen releasing in a hurry, has Thelwell near side. Pryor wrapped him up and threw him out.
Ryan Thelwell will play the backside at the wide receiver position, meaning he's quite a far way away from Damon Allen, so that's probably the second target. Thelwell hasn't had a lot of playing time throughout his career, even though he spent some time in the United States and the NFL. Really didn't get a whole lot of playing time down there.
Yeah, he's from London, Glenn. 16 catches, 268 yards, and 1 touchdown in his time with the San Diego Chargers. But not a lot of playing time, as you say. Here's Millington for 5. And Alondra Johnson, who's playing extremely well in his 11th year as a member of the Calgary Stampeders.
One of the few veterans in that Calgary defense that have been playing well. That's Alondra Johnson. Maybe the other would be Joe Fleming, but that's where Wally Buono has been most frustrated with the defense. It was the veterans. Kevin Johnson, cut this week. We talked about that. Wasn't playing well. He was a veteran. Jack Kellogg wasn't playing well. But this guy has played well all season long, and in fact is second in the CFL in tackles.
Wally Buono also happy with a couple of rookies. 99 James Cotton and 35 Otis Floyd. Linebacker and a defensive end. Allen escapes. He's out to the 40, and that'll be enough for a first down. He needed 5.
There's going to be more yardage tacked on, too, because Alondra Johnson came in a little late on Damon Allen, and he slid feet first. And when you do that, you cannot touch the quarterback at all. Now, it was pretty close, but Johnson went in and put the hat on him anyway.
Calgary, number 51, first down.
See, Allen slides foot first, and there's Alondra Johnson hitting them, and Allen a little bit of an acting job at the end, but he'll get the penalty call and the extra yardage.
And the Emmy.
And the Emmy. The yardage being the most important of all of those things.
4:28 till halftime. It's the Stampeders on top by 10, but the Lions have a drive rolling here for the first time tonight. It has included BC's first down of the evening and began on an interception. Allen to the end zone. There's the toss. No one home. Sean Graham was the closest BC receiver to the football.
There were 4 receivers down the field for Damon Allen to look at on that play. He looked at 3 of them, and all 3 were covered. The 4th guy was wide open. He didn't have time to get to the 4th guy. That was Don Blair. Don Blair was open in the back of the end zone. Damon Allen didn't look to him.
This drive began back at the BC 29. 5 plays later, the Lions are looking at 2nd and 10 at the Stampeder 25. 3 receivers to the near side, 3 to the far side of the field as well. And Allen hits Thelwell again. Ryan Thelwell has been a big part of this drive. Couple of catches. Anthony Pryor forced him out.
Well, Steve Barato said that Thelwell in the first part of the season He's just going to run down and then break to the outside on a timing pattern. The first part of the season was running pretty good routes, but just wasn't catching the ball consistently. And it looks like over the last couple of weeks, he has certainly improved in that area. And the more playing time he gets, the more effective he will be.
Now at the Stampeder 14, it's 1st and 10 BC. Allen shotgun. Jackson is down to the 3. Alfred Jackson, a couple of catches on this drive.
Now, I made a little promise to Alfred Jackson, so I don't want to go back on my promise. I promised that I'd say happy birthday to his daughter, Megan. Okay, she just turned 6 yesterday. So happy birthday, Megan. That catch was for you. Alfred said when he catches one, that's the birthday ball.
And happy birthday, Elizabeth. Mrs. Suter is celebrating today.
All right, well, I sent her flowers. That's pretty good.
You sent flowers?
I sent flowers.
Way to go. I'm proud of you. Robert Drummond, touchdown, BC. What an impressive drive for the Lions. Sean Millington led the way for Robert Drummond into the end zone.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders have just got to be shaking their heads right now because it's a 3-point ball game and it shouldn't be even close. Calgary dominated the first quarter. The Lions didn't get a first down until the beginning of this drive. Watch the lead block by number 25, Sean Millington, who does it with the ball and without. He kicks out and allows Robert Drummond to get into that end zone. And just like that, the Lions are back in it with some momentum and just down by 3.
First touchdown of 2001 for Robert Drummond, who had 19 carries for just 64 yards coming in. So 3:07 till halftime, and the Lions have finally awakened that sleeping offense.
Yeah, and it looked like Damon Allen just got tired of things. Watch number 25, Sean Millington, right here. He's going to come up and lead block and kick out a couple of Calgary Stampeders, and when he does, it opens up the crease for Robert Drummond. Millington blocking 2 on the play. Drummond will go and thank his cord for that one. That was really a drive that Damon Allen looked like to me he just took control of. A good play in the very first play of the drive to Alfred Jackson over the middle. Real aggressive throw down the middle that started things off for him. It was one of those enough is enough drives.
And good play selection by Damon Allen, too. He used a lot of different targets. Thelwell caught a couple.
Talked to him about some of the criticism this offense has been receiving throughout the week, and he says, yeah, I sort of been in this book before. I mean, this movie I've seen. They start to get on you if things don't go well, and that's part of the game. He says, I'm having fun. We're going to get things straightened out and we get back on track because they were pretty powerful at the end of last year.
Here's Antonio Warren returning to BC kickoff. The 30-yard line is all Warren gets. Wrapped up by Ryan Doak. 20 on the return after a 59-yard kickoff. The Lions are alive. Stampeders have the ball. 3 minutes till halftime. We'll be right back. Derek Lewis with an interesting interception seemed to ignite the Lions offensively.
Yeah, defensive play, a big turnover can get things kick-started for your offense. Mike Fletcher's also part of that. He's going to drop out of there on the play, and he's the guy who actually gets his hand on this football. It tips right to Derek Lewis. That started off the drive for the BC Lions, and they capped it off with a touchdown to Drummond.
8 plays, 71 yards later, the Lions finally hit the end zone. Now Calgary first down. Long toss, far side. Aubrey Cummings finally held in position by Lewis and several other BC Lions who just couldn't get him down, so they held him straight up.
Right now, the Calgary Stampeders receivers are doing a nice job of breaking the first tackle. They've been doing it all game long, whether it be Lee Vaughn on one corner or Eric Carter that time on the opposite corner. Make the first guy miss. You always have a chance to pick up that first down yardage.
12 yards for the Stampeders, another first down. 3 receivers make that 4 to the near side. Crandall is upended. Baron Simpson came roaring through from his middle linebacking spot, got Crandall by 1 foot and fired him down.
Well, it's amazing how many people that the BC Lions continue to put on the line of scrimmage. And Gary Echeverry's philosophy is very simple. Look at all the guys on the line of scrimmage right there. His philosophy, very, very simple. You can't throw the ball if you get to the quarterback before he has a chance to load it up.
And Baron Simpson got there for the first sack of the ball game. Crandall on 2nd and 17. Travis Moore the catch. And he'll be about 5 short of the first down.
You know, the philosophy is very simple for Gary Etcheverry. You got to send everybody at the quarterback, because you know one thing. He's got to release the football quickly. Even if he doesn't get sacked, he's got to get it out of his hands, because there are unblocked players coming at him. And he says oftentimes people will say that if you blitz the quarterback, you're leaving your defensive secondary, your DBs, you're leaving them on an island and you're exposing them. He thinks the opposite. He thinks if you blitz the quarterback, you're protecting the defensive backs, because they know the quarterback has to throw it in a hurry. And that's the philosophy from Gary Etcheverry.
Here's Duncan O'Mahony, second punt of the evening. Just about blocked, but he got it away. Not deep. Tyrone Taylor looks to the far side. There's already a marker down, and Taylor turns the corner. Wrapped up at the 45. Diebert was there. We'll check the infraction.
Well, this will likely come back, but I got to point one thing out. This is Mike Fletcher. He does everything for this football team. After the punt, he's going to peel back. He rushes the punter, and then he turns around and he peels back, and he is going to throw a block on the opposite side of the field, just to the right of your screen. Watch him coming around. Where's number 1? Here comes number 1. Pow, right there on Ibram Takara. Nice block. I mean, Mike Fletcher is all over the football field. Now, Lions are going to get this one on the 45.
No yards against Calgary sets BC up at the 45. Damon Allen feeling confident now, has Don Blair for a first down inside the Stampeder 45-yard line.
Yeah, Damon Allen's ready to play now. I mean, that is all last series. He was throwing strikes, and he comes back and throws one more strike to Don Blair coming across the middle. And you know, this Calgary secondary is inexperienced. Jack Kellogg cut. Joe Barnes replaced him, number 30. He's a rookie. They've got William Fields on a corner, who's a rookie. And Ricky Bell, also not a rookie to football, but a rookie to the CFL.
Sean Millington not going anywhere. Wrapped up by James Cotton. Closing in on halftime. The boys will be putting the pizza box away.
Yeah, that's what people don't see, is that because right before the half, all the pizza boxes get jammed underneath the desk really quickly.
Yeah, usually right beside Chris's seat.
That's right.
In case there's any left over. Anyway.
And then makeup runs in and gets all the sauce off their chin, and they're ready to go. Damon Allen's got things running, and he has just in 2 series. 7 of 13, 79 yards in this series and the last one, and that's it, because he had nothing prior to that.
No first downs. Well, he had the 2-yard shovel pass going into that last drive for the touchdown.
You know, and Damon Allen loves to play in this stadium. I mean, you think back to '93, Grey Cup MVP as a member of the Edmonton Eskimos against Winnipeg that year.
90 yards rushing.
226. The West Final last year.
312.
Yeah.
44.
And then, of course, the Grey Cup game.
Spectacular. 234 passing yards, 39 rushing, and the big guys, Millington and Drummond, carried the freight all day long. Beats on Allen, sacked for the first time. Otis Floyd, Willie Fells,
and Ricky Bell. Calgary Stampeders not known as a blitzing defense, or sort of a bend but don't break kind of philosophy from Mike Roach, the defensive coordinator, but this time they try to change things up and go with the blitz, and Otis Floyd is going to come from the backside, and he's going to come in on the blitz along with Ricky Bell, and when he does, Ricky Bell's coming off the edge. There's 26 Bell. He flushes him right up into Otis Floyd, and it's the Damon Allen sandwich between Floyd and Ricky Bell.
So into the final minute now of the opening half. Matt Kellett standing at the 45. Averaging 44.3 yards a punt, and this is a beauty coming down to Warren right on the goal line. Antonio Warren
Number 6.
is about 6 on the return after a 51-yard punt. So Kellett pins them deep.
Kelly Lockbaum working right there. It looked to me like it was Ian Williams, and that's of course the guy who beat him out this season in BC. So this is a matchup that we're going to watch closely. Number 33 working right there on 93. Lockbaum doing a pretty good job at the line of scrimmage, and then by then the play is over. He hasn't got that big knockout shot that he's looking for in this game. You know, that one, he kind of whispered to me as I was walking across the field. He said, look for one of the hits of the week coming from me in this game. It hasn't happened so far, but we'll still watch for it.
No doubt about his intensity. He was anxious to prove something and has been thinking about it for a couple of weeks now.
Well, you know, he'd just love to have that knockout shot to cause a fumble. And, you know, it's interesting because last year in the Western Final, ironically, he had a fumble recovery versus Calgary that really sealed the deal for the BC Lions. And now he's playing for Calgary against the Lions, and happy to be here.
Nice play action fake by Crandall. Still has it and won't get away from Barron Simpson, number 51.
Noah Cantor really saved Herman Smith's backside, for lack of a better word.
I was wondering where you were going with that one.
Because Herman Smith is right here, and he comes underneath. And watch how Noah Cantor, number 92 right there, is going to help his buddy out with secondary contain and slide right over there and corral Marcus Crandall. If he doesn't do that, Crandall has quite a few yards to run the football. So a little help for Herman Smith.
All I could think of to fill in your blank there was Bacon. Safety Bacon.
Okay, well, Herman Smith did it this time.
Crandall lost the ball, but the whistle had already gone, and 4 seconds remain on the clock here at McMahon.
Yeah, well, see, this time Herman Smith, he did it right. He stepped wide, and he kept Crandall in the pocket, forcing the Calgary Stampeders to punt. But just take a look at Herman Smith this time. We saw him get caught inside and bailed out by Noah Cantor on the previous play. This time Smith, who's also playing hurt with a bad knee, he does a nice job of containment outside, and watch how he gets wide this time and doesn't allow Marcus Crandall to get outside of him. Again, it's play action, but you see how he works to the outside, cuts off that corner, and then he steps back down inside and gets some help from his friends. That was his responsibility, contain the rollout, and he did that perfectly.
So now just 4 seconds to go till halftime. It's 3rd down and 5 to go. The ball on the 10. And the Stampeders won't take a chance on punting here and giving the Lions an opportunity for a big return.
Oh boy, they got to make sure they can kill 4 seconds, because the clock doesn't start till the snap. 3, 2. Okay, they did it. Only just.
Not by very much. Crandall hesitated just a little bit, but he did get the job done. So the Stampeders racked up a lot of yards. The BC Lions came back and added 7 points on one drive, so it's close at the half. Calgary on top, 10-7. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football.
It was the BC Lions, but no, it's the Calgary Stampeders who have dominated statistically, but it's only 10-7 Stamps on the scoreboard. Sherry Hargraves spoke with the Stamps head coach, Wally Buono.
Coach, a couple big changes on defense this week. Your thoughts on their performance so far?
Well, it's hard to say how their performance is. Our defense is playing well. We gave up a drive there. But again, Damon's got a lot of weapons. You got to give him credit.
Now, your offense has been in the red zone a couple of times, only came away with 3 points. Your thoughts on their performance, considering the score could be drastically different right now?
Well, again, the offense is doing a good job, but we got to score touchdowns. Field goals are good, but when we have opportunities, you got to get 7 points. They got a lot of weapons on offense, and when you miss those opportunities, it hurts you.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
So far, those Lions weapons have only connected really on one drive, ending with this touchdown by Robert Drummond. Second half next.
Mark McLaughlin on his farewell tour around Canadian football.
Well, not a bad time to announce that this will be his last year after being named Special Teams Player of the Week.
14 years in the CFL, 5 times an All-Canadian kicker. And he's leading the Calgary Stampeders all-time scoring list.
Which makes Wally Buono's decision to cut Tony Martino, who, by the way, signed in Toronto, and keep Duncan O'Mahony on the roster, makes that decision look that much better for the Calgary Stampeders in the long term.
Well, I think Wally had a pretty good idea that Mark was going to hang it up after this season. He thought about retirement 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, Mark McLaughlin is the general manager of the Calgary Storm. That's a soccer team here in town.
He's a part owner.
Yeah, he wants to spend more time in that business venture and also more time with his family. And of course, football is very demanding, even for the kickers on their time.
Tyrone Taylor deep for the BC Lions. It comes down to Taylor at the 20. Some solid returns so far. This one isn't bad. He's out across the 40 to the 43. First half thoughts from Calgary, or from BC head coach Steve Barretto.
Your offense had problems coming out of the chutes once again tonight, but that interception seemed to straighten things out.
Well, we got a couple plays. We completed a pass or two and got some things rolling, and we were able to run more than 2 plays in a row, which made the Stamps make some adjustments. And that'll make all the difference in the world.
Now, this score could be drastically different, but again, your defense solid this week.
Well, they've given up a lot, but they haven't let them get in the end zone but the one time. So even though they've given up a lot of yards, we haven't done much on offense. We stayed close, and now we're right back in the game.
Thanks again. Good luck.
Robert Drummond with the first carry of the second half, good for about 8 yards.
Well, talk about a guy that should be more involved. Coming into this game, just 19 carries for 64 yards, an average of 3.4 yards per carry.
Those aren't Robert Drummond numbers.
No, not even close. You know, now Sean Millington, 156 yards and a touchdown coming in this game. A little bit better, but not enough. But it all works together. It's a triple threat in BC. Damon Allen has got to be involved in it.
Drummond again, and that'll be enough for the first down.
And I had the conversation with Allen before the game about this running game, and I said, you know, what is the problem? We've talked about the offensive line. He said, but it's very simple. When we were successful last year, I was moving the pocket around, using my legs to spread out the defense. That opened up things in the middle for Drummond and Millington. That's something we're not doing. And I just gave him the very simple question. Why? Why are you not moving the pocket? You're calling the plays. He said, you kind of have to evolve. It's a new system. We're trying to learn it.
Third straight carry for Robert Drummond.
Third straight carry.
He has the only touchdown of the game for the Lions and a 2-yard run.
You know, and when he said this is an offense that has to evolve, he says it takes you sometimes a couple of games to figure out what you do well and what you don't do well. And that one drive they had was the only good thing from that offense in the first half, and that's where it ended up, with Drummond in the end zone.
It was only a 2-yard run, but it was well executed, and Drummond buried it about 5 yards deep in the end zone.
Second and 7.
Lions had a horribly slow first quarter. Never got rolling until almost midway through the second, drove for a touchdown, and they've started off the second half well here. Alfred Jackson.
Alfred Jackson started in the backfield on the formation. He was the go-to guy the entire play, but I think he wanted to go to the inside, and this is the very end of that play, and Damon Allen wanted to throw it to the opposite side. As you see Jackson turned to his left, that ball was already gone way to the outside. He waited way too long to come out of his pattern. But he started right behind Damon Allen on the play.
So Kellen is in for BC, standing near his 50. He'll try and nail the Stampeders deep in their own zone. Warren is standing back at the 5. This is not a thing of beauty. What do you call that? Outside of a bad punt.
Well, if you're
it wasn't a shank, was it?
That's like a quail. That's like a wounded duck.
A 15-yard punt for Matt Kellett. So things could have been a lot worse for the Calgary Stampeders. They'll end up with decent field position. Stampeders will begin with a first down at the Calgary 32.
Mark Boerichter, the guy you're looking at in that Calgary huddle, not really involved in this game again, and you just keep having to ask, why is he not more involved in the offense? 6'3", 215, runs like the wind, and it's a wind that can knock down the brick house. Powerful guy and just not involved enough in this offense.
Crandall to his right. And there is Mark Boerichter. There you go. More involved in the offense. Somewhat mysteriously.
Well, we got the headsets on, and I think George Cortez sort of tapped in on that one.
Well, they listen quite often, I'm sure.
Well, last week versus Edmonton, Boerichter had one big play, a 41-yard catch from Marcus Crandall, and when he did, it basically doubled his yardage output after 3 games on the season, and this time just a little pick play to get to the outside. But he's such a big target and can intimidate after he gets the football. You know that George Cortez is dying to get it to him more.
A gain and even 10 yards. Stampeders first down. The Calgary 43. Travis Moore.
Travis Moore draws.
And Moore is wrapped up in a hurry. Barron Simpson, the middle linebacker, is there for one.
Well, here's a little big picture stat for the Calgary Stampeders. If you're looking at this team over the last 10 years, unbelievable record when they've led at their half. So far this season, they're 0-3. They have been behind at the half every single game in those 3 losses. In 10 years, they're 101-17 when they lead at the half. What does that tell you?
It's been a pretty good football program here for the 90s and into 2000. Crandall got a little heat to the far side. Aubrey Cummings went high and brought that one down. And there was a great chance for an interception out there as it floated just a little bit.
Eric Carter can't believe it. Eric Carter read the play, was in perfect position, and the ball just floated over his head. It's going to happen to the right of your screen, little half roll. Eric Carter, the veteran, read this one about 5 minutes ago and was standing waiting for the interception. That ball floated over his head just by a couple of inches right into Aubrey Cummings' hands. They say, John, it's a game of inches. Well, that was about 1. I couldn't believe how early Eric Carter was standing there waiting for that ball.
Well, he played off a little bit too far because Cummings was able to make the catch. He was injured on the tackle after a 19-yard gain. And Aubrey Cummings being attended to by Pat Clayton and the Stampeder medical staff.
Well, that's Toya Jones that takes a swipe at him. And that's Barron Simpson coming over there and rolls on his legs. Carter trying to get back into the play after missing the ball. And it's good to see Aubrey Cummings walking off the field under his own power.
He'll be back.
They have good depth in the receiving corps. Ibrahim Tunkara is the backup. Good career numbers for Aubrey Cummings, who's slowly worked into the lineup here with the Calgary Stampeders over his 4 seasons. Last year had just over 500 yards.
Out of Acadia. In his 5th year as a Stampeder, getting more and more playing time with each year.
Only played 2 years of football at Acadia, though. Picked up the game quickly, you could say.
Stampeders at the Lions 44. First down. Nice play action fake by Crandall. Just got it away. Touchdown, Mark Boerichter. Crandall got hammered by David Benefield. A 44-yard touchdown strike to Mark Boerichter. So why aren't they using him more in the offense?
Well, they are now. And when they are, they get to the end zone. Boy, Marcus Crandall paid the price.
There's Karen Drake on My Horse Blue.
Well, that was your horse for the awards ceremonies last year. I had Tuffy.
Well, Blue is definitely the star.
Karen Drake may have a problem with you calling him your horse.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
For the Chrysler Awards last year.
You were quite the cowboy. Blue's been a little quiet in this game until now.
Just 2 trips around the turf here at McMahon Stadium, but this one is something to celebrate for Stampeder fans with Calgary on top 16-7. Marcus Crandall took the hit to toss the touchdown.
Yeah, this is going to be Bo Richter coming down this left side of your screen. David Benefield comes up to middle and hits Crandall, and at the end of the play, Bo Richter just fights for the football, catches it at the top point of his jump, and beats Derek Lewis to find the end zone. David Benefield had hit on the blitz there and smacked Crandall right in the face as he threw the football.
Second touchdown catch of the season for Bo Richter. Tyrone Taylor returning for the Lions and stopped dead in his tracks at the 25.
David Benefield, by alignment, confused the blocking scheme up front for the Calgary Stampeders. Here he is right here, and then he's going to sneak through this gap, and when he does, watch the hit he puts on Marcus Crandall. That was a big one, but not enough, and that's a hit that Crandall won't feel.
Split second late.
Some of those hits you really feel the next day. But when they're touchdown passes, they don't hurt quite as much.
Lions are down by 10 at 17-7 and begin at the BC 25. Nice fake by Allen, and he just got it away. A little long.
Damon Allen looking deep for a double touchdown.
Well, no question that with Damon Allen's birthday right around the corner, he's going to turn
38.
38 years old. He still has the strength in his arm. He stepped up in the pocket and threw that ball 70 yards. Now, it was 10 yards past Don Blair, the intended receiver. But, boy, he still has the strength in that throwing arm. And he had lots of time. Sorry, go ahead.
His birthday is Sunday.
38 years young.
7 of 14, just 79 yards. Allen gets a block from Millington. One from Alfred Jackson out at midfield and missed the target.
Alfred Jackson upset that he may have been interfered with throughout that pattern. Looked like he was a little late to get to the spot. Damon Allen's going to roll out to his left and throw to a spot on the field. He expects Jackson to get there, at 99% of the time he will. Jackson turned around and yelled at the officials because he was jammed a little bit on his way.
Joe Barnes was with Alfred Jackson. No call, no foul. Third down BC. Matt Kellett's last punt traveled just 15 yards. Antonio Warren deep for Calgary. Warren moves up to the 45 to take this. Nice return across the 50, and he hammers his way to the 45. 20 on the return, 40 on the punt, and Robert Drummond led the BC tacklers. Stampeders have wonderful field position again with a 10-point lead on Wendy's Friday Night Football. There's a little extra anxious tonight. He's expecting. Sherry?
Well, you'll have to excuse Greg Frères if he's not jumping up for some interceptions tonight. He has other things on his mind. His wife, Lisa, is expecting their first child, and believe it or not, she's in labor and sitting in the stands watching her husband. Now that's support.
Now that's a trooper. That's supporting your husband. If Greg Frères has an interception, it's going to be a sprint to the Foothills Hospital.
It's just out the back door. Kelvin Anderson for a couple. Well, about 5 yards on the carry.
His wife's named Lisa, and Lisa is so far along. I mean, she's expecting not any day, any minute. And I asked Greg Frères about it, and he said, you know, if she has the baby right during the game, I'm going to leave the game. I've already talked to Wally Buono about it, and I'll leave the game right in the middle of it. So the coaching staff is checking Lisa in between plays to make sure she's okay so they can keep their safety.
The backup safety, Lawrence Deck, is hoping he has to leave.
There goes Anderson again. It's simply a Stampeder first down.
So that's difficult for the coaching staff when it's part of your scouting report to talk about the guy's wife that may have the baby.
We seem to have a lot of these stories in Calgary. I remember last year, Stacy Fleming was expecting for about Well, she was overdue for
Yeah.
about 3 games in a row that we were here, and we kept getting the update from Joe. And finally, Madison was born about a year ago this night. It was last July. So Madison Fleming is a year old, and there's the proud dad. And Mom was sitting down in the stands, and she was overdue too, right about where Lisa Frères is.
Stampeder family is growing.
First catch of the game for Kwame Peterson.
Number 36, Peterson.
So he draws in with Aubrey Cummings slightly shaken up.
Golden opportunity for the Calgary offense here and for this entire team. They're got the 10-point lead on the big Mark Boerichter touchdown catch, and now once again in the red zone inside the 30-yard line, and a chance to really put this one away for the Calgary Stampeders, or at least get a lead that the way the BC offense is playing would be hard to come back from.
Currently it's a 10-point advantage for Calgary. Lots of time left with 6:39 to go here in the third quarter. Randall has a wide open target. It's Travis Moore. Another huge first down for the Stampeders. Derek Lewis finally got up to run him down.
Travis Moore right here is going to take off one-on-one on Bo Lewis, and he just uses the width of the field. 65 yards is the width of the Canadian Football League field, and Travis Moore uses all of it to get outside of Derek Lewis.
First and 10, Stampeders, number 14.
Gain is 14, Stampeders. Our first down. Anderson sliding out of the backfield, and he's down to about the 7. Mike receptions last week for 38 yards for Anderson.
Sorry, John. Mike Fletcher, the linebacker right here, is in charge of covering Calvin Anderson out of the backfield, and by a lineman he got caught way inside, and that allowed Travis Moore to come across and pick him. Right in alignment, Mike Fletcher put himself in a very difficult position to get to the outside to Calvin Anderson.
It'll be 2nd and 3. The Stampeders are knocking on the Lions' door again at the 7-yard line. Crandall looks to the end zone. No one home. Tight coverage on Boerichter.
Well, if you're wondering how the Calgary Stampeders are trying to defend against this blitzing BC defense, especially when you get down there, look what they're doing. They're going to bring this receiver in here, going to bring the backup here, and this receiver in. All 3 of those guys are going to come up. If you roll a little bit further, look at this. 1, 2, 3 receivers brought into the backside to help block against the blitzing BC defense. So it's a 2-man pattern out here, and both men and this particular player covered. But that's how Calgary is going to try and handle that blitz.
So on 3rd and 3, the Stamps will look to Mark McLaughlin, who has been perfect so far tonight. 2 for 2 last week against the Eskimos. He was 5 of 6 and was the special teams player of the week. As a result,
14 yards.
a little chip shot here from 13. And McLaughlin is 3 for 3.
McLaughlin gets the 3 points, but just to go back quickly to that protection story for the Calgary Stampeders, what George Cortez will likely say to Marcus Crandall on the sideline is you have more time with the football than you may think. We're bringing in 3 receivers on the backside of the play. We're taking them out of the patterns, and we're blocking for you. So take some time with the football, hold on to it, and let those 2 receivers that are running patterns, and one of them was Travis Moore, let him work 3 or 4 cut moves to try and get open, and that's likely what they'll discuss on the sidelines while the BC offense has the football.
They'll be getting ready for the German Grand Prix tomorrow morning, Formula 1 qualifying. He's on TSN beginning at 7 a.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Pacific time. You like Schumacher? He always likes Schumacher.
Yeah, one of my favorites. Who? 4 a.m.'s a little early, but I'll set the VCR. How about that? Those guys are at the right game.
Stampeders have looked very effective at times tonight. That was an impressive drive. Although it only netted 3 points, they did take a little time off the clock without question.
Yeah, but you know, the Lions are over there thinking we have been beat up in this game and still have a great chance to come back.
Short kick coming down near the 35. And a big run on the return by Ian Williams. 27 yards. He wasn't expecting that.
Well, tough way to start the season for Wally Buono, a guy who has not lost 4 games in a row in his career as the head coach here in Calgary. Tough loss against Winnipeg in week 1. Kari Jones looked great in that one. Pringle killed this team in week 2, 169 yards and 4 touchdowns. In week 3, it was Edmonton, and a great passing game, and that's why Jack Kellogg and Kevin Johnson are looking for work.
On the 27-yard return, Lions inside Calgary territory to begin the drive, and Allen missed his target. Looking for Sean Millington.
Coming into the game, a lot of the criticism on the BC Lion offense was their O-line, and I've been watching them all game long, and it doesn't look to me like this is the problem with this team in this game. Their O-line has responded to the challenge. I thought they played very well so far, and still the offense is not clicking. Whether it be Damon Allen throwing one a little too hard to the screen on that play to Sean Millington, or one of the receivers not quite running the route that they expect. Either way, this offense is still trying to find its way.
On 2nd and 10, Allen looks deep, and there are markers downfield. So we'll check out the infraction there. Allen also took a little heat. He has completed just 7 of his last 17 passes and missed his last 5.
Well, again,
BC number 59 declined.
Ooh.
3rd down.
So it's kick time.
Well, yeah, they're gonna have to punt the ball, but again, on the play, 3 receivers for the BC Lions were on the side that Damon Allen was looking to, and none of them were running to where the ball was heading. I mean, there's definitely confusion between the receiving core and the quarterback, and that's not the fault of the offensive line.
So Matt Kellett steps in again. Bo Richter is one of 2 deep for the Stampeders. Antonio Warren, number 6, is also back there. Kellett's kick is high. Warren will field it. A couple deep in the end zone, and gives up the single point there to make it 20-8 for the Stampeders.
Well, Steve Barato started the season with a big overtime win versus Edmonton, and maybe it gave him sort of a false sense of security with his offense, because in that game they scored 35 points. Since then, they've scored 12 and ranked 7th in all the major categories offensively.
12 points over the last 2 games, Glenn. That's just not enough to win in Canadian football, obviously.
Well, when you look at 95 yards rushing, per game for this offense, last year it was 139 yards. I mean, that's just a complete turnaround. Now, they do have different terminology this year. Basically the same offense, but different terminology, and boy, they better. It looks like it's French.
Kelvin Anderson, he has run well for the Stampeders tonight. Another 7 yards there.
And if the terminology is in French and you're playing in Montreal, you got a chance. But if you're playing in BC, obviously it's not working.
12 carries for Kelvin Anderson thus far.
Started out in the first quarter, it was all Kelvin Anderson, and then sort of gone away from him in this second half. But George Cortez is one of the best coaches in the league at self-scouting. Looking at what he did in the first half and what the defense may have seen.
2nd and 3, Stampeders out across the 40 at the 41. Crandall has time, looking for Moore. Heck of a catch, but he was out of bounds.
Amazing catch. Travis Moore was running what's called the wheel route. And it's basically he goes straight to the sideline, hoping that Derek Lewis will bite, and then he turns up the field, and Marcus Crandall looking to them all the way, and Moore didn't get covered. He just ran out of room. Tried to throw that
by
one
a couple of yards.
Well, tried to throw it to the stands and was about 5 yards short.
So 2 and out for the Stampeders now with a 20-8 lead on the BC Lions. Low snap. Problem for O'Mani. Sails this one deep down to the 20. Tyrone Taylor for the Lions. Looks to turn the corner. Not this time. Gain on the return of about 2 yards after a 46-yard punt.
Kelly Lockbaum on special teams is still looking for that big knockout hit. He's number 33 right here, and he's working on 94. Greg Pollard gets a good move at the line of scrimmage to get around Pollard, and then it's just a foot race, but he's trying to line up Taylor, look for Pollard, and he kind of runs right by Taylor. Still hasn't got that knockout shot. We're watching him, though.
Well, he's got 2:17 left in the third and all of the fourth quarter to come up with that impact hit against his old team. Lions offense remains a bit of a mystery. One superb drive, but only 64 yards net offense. Damon Allen is sacked again. Second time the Stampeders have made it through. And Joe Fleming celebrates his 4th of the season.
Yeah, Joe Fleming, what a move at the line of scrimmage. He just, I mean, great what's called the swim move. He's going to just come right around here and watch how he makes that great move right at the point of attack. I believe it was on Terrace. No, actually, it was Ben Fairbrother, the guard, who slid over, swam that big arm around him, and was right there. So Ben Fairbrother in for Dan Payne just got a minus on the score sheet for tomorrow in film session. But you know what? There's a lot of offensive linemen in this game that have got a minus playing against Joe Fleming.
8th sack given up by the Lions so far this season. Allen had that one batted down at the line. Things are not working well for this BC offense tonight.
Yeah, this time it's James Cotton that comes up in the middle. Gets the big hands up. James Cotton is 6'3". When he puts his arms up, he's about 7'3". Coming around on the stunt, see number 99 gets his right arm on it. Again, that's offensive line up front having trouble. So just when I say they're playing a pretty good game, they come in with a bad series.
There you go. 8 times the Lions have been 2 and out. Antonio Warren back near the 45. Matt Kellett standing at his 5 for the BC Lions. High, not very deep. Warren at the 41. Stutter step. Has about 4 on the return. There's a penalty marker back at the 30. "51-yard punt, 4 on the return. And the frustrations continue for Lions head coach Steve Barato. Boy, it looked so easy last year. Come in, coach half a season,
and win the Grey Cup.
Win the Grey Cup.
Holding, Calgary, number 76. First down.
Joe Fleming's fired up. He was in the middle of that holding call working on Lyle Green. And he basically tackled him. So that'll be tacked on to the punt, pushing the Calgary Stampeders back to the 31. Got a little excited after that sack, did Mr. Fleming. That's understandable.
Into the final minute now of the third quarter. Stampeders are first down.
There's that formation again. 3 receivers up at the top there.
Kelvin Anderson broke 1, broke 2 tackles, and he's got about 9 yards. Derek Lewis up to make the tackle.
One of the receivers up in the line of scrimmage there was Aubrey Cummings, and this could be a chance for him to see the football on a rushing play as this formation develops. Kelvin Anderson does get the ball up here, but when he does, Aubrey Cummings comes around back here, and when he does that, he gets the fake from Crandall. See Cummings coming around to the left. You just lose him to the left of your screen. That could be the next progression of that play.
They call the gain 8. This is 2nd and 2. Stampeders at the 39. Anderson again, and there's nowhere to go. Benefield has them all wrapped up. So the Stampeders are 2 and out for the 2nd time in a row. That's the final play of the third quarter. Stampeders continue to lead the Lions. It's 20-8.
Wendy's Friday Night Football at the quarter.
So the story all through the offseason in Calgary was who was going to play quarterback and take over for Dave Dickinson. In week 1, that job went to Ben Sankey. He got hurt, and Marcus Crandall stepped in, and he's really progressed ever since then, E.T.
Yeah, and let's say something about George Cortez, the offensive coordinator of the Calgary Stampeders. You know, he was the offensive line coach when Doug Flutie was there, but he's done a fabulous job with Garcia, with Dickinson. Sometimes people forget the role he played in the development of Henry Burris before he went to Saskatchewan. Now he's taken Marcus Crandall, a guy that was rejected by the Edmonton Eskimos, and has him playing at a very high level. George Cortez should be a head coach in this league and should be soon. I had a chance to hire him in '99. I didn't. I hope the next guy won't pass on him, Chris.
Yeah, and you know what else? I want to talk about Wally Buono because I'll show you something very subtle that means absolutely everything to the confidence of the player. You watch this play. Here goes Marcus Crandall. He takes the shot. He delivers the ball. There you go with Bo Richter, his big height, his big reach. Now watch the quarterback come back to the sidelines, and you can see something very subtle. You see Wally Buono right there. Congratulations, puts his arm around him. You know, sometimes what's wrong with coaches is that they really criticize too much. They always emphasize what is wrong, especially young football coaches. Never be afraid to praise your players when they make a big play, because if you're overly critical, they never know when they're doing a good job. Nice little move by Wally Buono to help the confidence of his young quarterback, Matt.
Yeah, he had to. He had to pat him on the back, say, way to be a warrior, because McNeil whiffed on Benefield.
I know.
But I tell you, this team has come back, and they've gone back to the basics of grinding it out, swinging, quick hitches, getting some rhythm going offensively, putting themselves into second and short situations. What they were doing successfully in the first quarter, they've gone right back to that in the third quarter, and that's the difference right now.
Meantime, nothing has gone well for the BC Lions. It continues to be UGLY fourth quarter action. Here's John and Glenn.
Wally Buono has had a great run as the head coach of the Stampeders since 1990. 85-15 in home victories. And he's on 139 wins overall, but he's been stuck there for about 4 weeks.
Well, this is what happens up to 3 quarters, and look at the difference here. This is just, is this the same game? Like Calgary
64.
Stampeders, 332 offensive yards. BC Lions. Did the offense make the bus?
I'm not sure. That was 3rd and 1. And there's a marker down, so we'll check out the infraction as the Stampeders went gambling there. Now, if it's against Calgary, it'll be costly, obviously.
Offside, BC, number 91. First down.
It's not. Herman Smith got the early start.
Yeah, he's trying to anticipate the snap count and gets the early start. That'll give Calgary the first down, and they'll go with that bunched formation. All the receivers in to help block.
Here are the numbers on Marcus Crandall so far. 17 of 24, 228 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And he has the lead for the Stampeders here. Kelvin Anderson has the ball, and the gain is limited to 1.
You know, the upside of this formation for the Calgary Stampeders is that it gets the blocking help from Marcus Crandall. The downside is his receivers are limited. You got 3 receivers bunched in at the line of scrimmage, and if I'm a defensive back, it's pretty easy to cover them from in there, because you only have 2 or maybe even sometimes just 1 running a pattern. The upside is your quarterback stays on his feet.
2nd and 9. Stampeders at their 46. Shotgun for Crandall. Wide open. There you go, Travis Moore. Touchdown, Stampeders.
Crandall was hit in the face as he threw that one.
He's been hammered twice on touchdown tosses.
Well, he doesn't even know it was a touchdown yet, I don't think.
64 yards, and Old Blue is fired up again.
Talk about paying the price. Crandall paid retail plus about 20% on that one. Travis Moore better go thank him for hanging in there. First touchdown catch for Travis Moore. His quarterback sure is still at this point not sure what field he's in.
Well, he's tossed a couple of touchdowns here tonight.
This is where he sits down beside Antonio Warren and say, hey, what happened there? That was a touchdown. That's good, right? Yeah, that's good.
64-yard touchdown toss for Marcus Crandall to Travis Moore. The Stampeders have blown this thing wide open with a lead of 27-8.
What a hit on Marcus Crandall. Rolls a bit to his right and then looks for more. He knows the blitz is coming. It's Herman Smith and Barron Simpson. And in behind the coverage, and that was Mike Crum, the safety that got caught a little too shallow, was Travis Moore. But wow, what a hit on Crandall. This time the Calgary Stampeders spread things out. They go back to a normal conventional 4 receivers to one side of the field, and Moore recognized the blitz. But watch this hit. This is paying retail plus 20% right here. Bam.
Beat you at the quarterback. Now Smith was there.
Now I mentioned that the hits don't hurt when you throw a touchdown pass. You know what? That one's going to hurt. That's a few ice bags for tomorrow.
More after the game than right now, I'm sure. But Crandall has done a nice job coming into the game, Glenn, hitting on 70% of his passes. He threw the 1 interception tonight, but that was deflected at the line. So not all his fault. A couple of touchdown tosses.
Travis Moore is still building on those totals. He came into this game leading the league. Receiving yards. This offense hasn't really struggled from 30 to 30-yard line. They've struggled inside.
Tyrone Taylor trying to get something going for the BC Lions. He's out to the 45. 20-yard return. And Marcus Crandall still shaking the cobwebs out at the Calgary bench.
Well, he has to be. Look at this. Whoa. So you want to play quarterback, do you?
Well, he's all smiles down there. He's tossed for 292 yards. The 2 touchdowns.
That's that sort of glazed over smiling look when you're not really sure where you are. Marcus Crandall knows one thing, though. He's got his team to a huge lead, 27-8.
Stampeders feeling a lot more comfortable all of a sudden. The Lions are still in a daze. Denny Montana into the game, made that catch.
Well, why this Calgary offense has come up with a good game plan to take care of the blitzing BC defense. Steve Barato may have to go back to the drawing board with his offense, because this is now the 3rd game in a row that they have really sputtered.
Well, 64 yards of total offense into the 3rd quarter. That's not much for any football team. Montana gets another one.
Yeah, and now the Calgary defense will play off. They'll play a lot more zone. They're going to give that underneath throw probably for the rest of the game here. Down into the 4th quarter, you just don't want to give up the big play, something that Calgary was susceptible to in the last couple of weeks, especially last week.
Well, down by 19, the Lions really have to open things up here. From the 53, 1st and 10 BC.
Little blitz.
Long toss. Allen has his man. Not quite. Montana couldn't bring it down. Coverage was a little too tight on the far side. It was Anthony Pryor covering on Montana.
Well, he's stride for stride. Montana had a crack at it, but Pryor had the left arm in between Montana's arms. Just knocked that ball out of there. There was a little bit of an argument from Denny Montana, but no shot. It's just good defense.
Again, Damon Allen faces 2nd and long. Shotgun for Allen. Stands in. And he missed Tyrone Taylor.
Well, you know, Damon Allen's going to get a lot more criticism this week, I'm sure. But I'm going to show you Tyrone Taylor, if we have him anywhere, is that Tyrone Taylor is not open. Ricky Bell is all over Tyrone Taylor. And he comes across the middle, and, you know, in fairness to Damon Allen, he has absolutely no place to throw this football. He's coming across right here. Look at this. Ricky Bell on Tyrone Taylor. Absolutely no chance there to get the football into him. You know, and one of the questions that will come up is this receiving core in BC after Alfred Jackson good enough to win with?
Well, after you get past Alfred Jackson, you've got to look around at this receiving core in British Columbia.
Well, that's why they're hoping for big things out of Ryan Thelwell. Danny Montana has not done the job. That's why Thelwell got the start. Don Blair is invisible. And Sean Graham in his first game back after being injured for a while hasn't been a big part of this offense.
Lions in punt formation as flags went down, so they'll move it back against BC another 5 yards.
And you know one thing, Alfred Jackson's going to get double teamed. He's been double teamed for 2 weeks in a row. Hamilton figured it out in a hurry and frustrated Alfred Jackson.
2 catches tonight for Jackson.
And he was the guy who started the only drive that the BC Lions have had. But after that, boy, you're looking for a receiver that's done anything.
Kellett's kick is high. Antonio Warren takes it on the second bounce, or does he? Takes it on the roll. Flags are down, and Warren surrenders there. 41 yards on the punt. More will be tacked on for the Calgary Stampeders. Very much in control at McMahon tonight.
George Cortez for 3.5 quarters running a bunch type of formation with his receiving core, getting them all in close for protection right in here. And then in the touchdown to Travis Moore, he splits them all out. When he splits them out, he gives them a chance to look at the defense and run what they've run for the first 3 weeks of the season. And this is what can happen if you get Travis Moore in behind you.
64-yard touchdown is what can happen. Stampeders in control again with a first down, and Kelvin Anderson.
Well, you just can't, John, give enough credit to George Cortez for, you know, in 1 week's time, creating an offensive game plan to battle against the defense in the BC Lions that were ranked first against the pass, giving up less than 200 yards per game and first in points allowed. But George Cortez finds a way to come up with a good game plan, and he does it through formations, a couple of different looks, something the Lions had not seen and something Gary Etcheverry hadn't seen coming into this game.
Anderson picked up 5. This is 2nd and 5. Stampeders. Crandall looks to put it up. There's a target wide open. Vince Danielson made the catch, and he was decked by Mike Crum.
Pretty good catch because Mike Crum was coming right at him. He had the bullseye on that 88. Put a pretty good hit on him. The ball took some time to get there because Crandall just kind of held onto the football a little bit longer than normal. He's looking to that side of the field the whole way. Takes a jab step and then throws off his back foot, and when he does, the ball floats a little bit, and that gave Crum a chance. But hey, you got to credit Vince Danielson. Hangs on after taking the big lick.
17 yards for Danielson. Kelvin Anderson has 5 more. Behind Jay McNeil and Fred Childress. Barron Simpson made the tackle.
Well, you want to have a real early candidate for Offensive Lineman of the Year. How about the Big Chill? How about the Big Chill? Kelvin Anderson, another big game. Now, I know they're 0-3, but this is a guy that moved from right guard to left tackle, opposite side, and is doing a job again this year.
Gain was 7 at 2nd and 3, so Anderson gets it again. Another first down for the Stampeders as Anderson breaks out of there. And Eric Carter got over to bring him down, this time behind Thomas Ram.
Oh, Big Chill did his job. It was the backside of the play, but the backside often is as important. There's Chill. Anderson's going this way, but watch the backside block by Big Chill. Bam, stands him up right in the hole. I believe that was Greg Pollard, but Big Chill just stood up Pollard right in the hole, and that gives Kelvin Anderson no backside pursuit to worry about.
Gain is 17 for Kelvin Anderson as the Stampeders have their way with his BC defense. Antonio Warren breaks makes one. Derek Lewis made the tackle, but not before Warren picked up 20. Penalty marker down in the area of the tackle. Not at the line. So now it's a decent bet this is going against BC.
Now they start running to the Big Chill side, and Warren takes advantage of the hole that he creates along with Mark Boerichter.
Objection of conduct. Calgary, number 6. First down.
So that's on Antonio Warren after he picked up the big yardage. He'll get his first down. But they'll move it back closer to the 25-yard line. Actually, the 30-yard line.
It didn't look like he really meant to do anything to the BC Lions. He spiked the ball and it hit Derek Lewis by accident, and that was the penalty. So he'll watch the next play from the sideline to think about spiking the ball.
But it is a Stampeder first down, set up nicely at the Lion 30-yard line with time running down on these Lions. Kelvin Anderson. Only about 3 that time for Anderson. And again, Baron Simpson, whose name has been mentioned a lot tonight, in on the tackle.
Yeah, Baron Simpson, Mike Fletcher played pretty well for the defense, but George Cortez's game plan has been solid. You know, and they take advantage of the opportunities when they presented themselves, and then they can look back at this game film offensively and say, you know what, we had 3 or 4 more opportunities to score. They were down on the 1-yard line and got turned away early in this game.
2nd and 7. Stamps on top, 27-8. Crandall has time, has a target, down inside the 10-yard line. Vince Danielson makes the catch, but there's a penalty marker near the 20.
Holding, Calgary, number 58. Second down, repeated.
Thomas Ram.
So this will be second and a bunch for Buono's boys.
Getting called on the holding.
Well, the Lions have to get their act together, Glenn, with Montreal arriving in BC for the next game on Saturday.
Thomas Ram was working on Noah Cantor on the play, and it's a good call because he pulls him down. He's okay right there, but at the end of it, kind of throws him down to the turf, and that's exactly when Marcus Crandall was throwing the football.
This will be 2nd and 18. Stampeders at the Lions 37. Shotgun for Crandall. Time to throw near side. As Cummings one move. It's not enough to fool the BC defender. And the Stampeders will be forced to settle for an attempt at 3.
Well, he is slowly developing into a player. Marcus Crandall here for Calgary.
Looking for his first win as a CFL starter. He was 0-2 as an Eskimo and 0-2 as a Calgary Stampeder over the last couple of weeks when he started.
Well,
but you like his chances to be 1-4.
Played very well in the loss last week versus Edmonton. Rushed for over 100. Threw the ball very effectively inside the 30s.
For 304 yards last week.
Absolutely. And they didn't finish drives, you know, and they haven't finished enough drives in this game either. And that's will be something that they'll try and correct, obviously, throughout the week.
McLaughlin has been perfect so far, 3 for 3. Marker is down. A 44-yard attempt. We'll see what the infraction was.
Well, you think about the 2 plays here. Vince Danielson's down inside the 10-yard line. That gets called back. Antonio Warren is inside the 15-yard line. That gets called back.
Time count foul. Calgary, number 13. Still third down.
Now they're going to have to kick an even longer field goal attempt for Mark McLaughlin. 3 penalties are they're down in the doorstep one more time.
That was a 39-yard attempt on the previous play, and this will be now a 44-yarder. McLaughlin's longest of the season is 45. 22, 29, 13. And this try from 44. Missed that one. Fletcher concedes the single points. So it's now a 20-point advantage for the Calgary Stampeders and the BC Lions. But what about this 85 yards net offense?
That's terrible.
Damon Allen looks deep. Alfred Jackson turns and couldn't hang on to the ball. Joe Barnes was covering. He's done a not bad job on his first assignment.
Well, you really have to give him a lot of credit. Joe Barnes playing against Alfred Jackson. Here he is here trying to go down the field. That's Barnes, number 30. Gets in behind him here, but it's incompletion. And incompletion is a positive play for a defensive back. Ball's a little bit underthrown, and Barnes catches up. You know, this is a young secondary. Barnes replaced Jack Kellogg and has played pretty well. William Fields, the rookie. Ricky Bell also playing well.
2nd and 10 Lions under the cover this time.
You know, John,
Montana made the catch.
We've talked a little bit about how poorly the BC offense has played, but they're not exactly playing against air, although if they were, they'd probably still be struggling at this point. They're playing against the Calgary defense that came to play. They were hungry. Alonzo Johnson talked about it in the paper. This is a team led by defensive coordinator Mike Roach to your left that has also come up with a game plan, but more importantly, they're playing with emotion. You know, 0-3 start was not acceptable to some of these veterans. Greg Frères, who's got more than just the game on his mind. One of them, Alonzo Johnson, another, and Joe Fleming.
Wally Buono yesterday was talking about the losing streak, and he didn't blame it on the rookies, saying that we're not losing because of our rookies. It is the veteran group on this team that has let us down over the last couple of weeks.
Well, Greg Frères' job in this game tonight was to make sure that the rookies, Joe Barnes, Ricky Bell, and William Fields, were all on the same page. He's got them together. They played well.
And the other portion of his duties tonight, stay close to the cell phone in case Lisa had to rush away to the hospital.
Yeah, be dad. You know, Ricky Bell, we've seen him shut down some receivers. He's got some NFL experience. Willie Fells has done a nice job in the Calgary linebacking corps. Because this is a guy that came over after playing in Hamilton. Anthony Pryor has played well, and he's seen wide receiver Ryan Thelwell throughout the game.
Lions go gambling on 3rd down and inches. Not much of an option here.
Oh, man.
No markers, 1st down BC.
That was the hardest hitting 1-yard gain that Sean Millington will ever have, and it was it was Fells and Alondra Johnson. I think Alondra Johnson got the brunt of it, but Willie Fells was also involved, and he's been active tonight.
It's the Stampeders by 20. Damon Allen sees an opening and finds Robert Drummond. Drummond takes off. He'll have the 1st down. Ricky Bell over to make the stop, number 26.
Well, you know, the BC Lions and their fans can't really take a whole lot about, even if this offense starts driving in this last 4 minutes, they can't take a whole lot from it because Calgary will play defensively, obviously a little more cautious at this point in the game. But what they need to do is keep moving the football, try and score just to get some confidence back, because it doesn't seem like they have much of that either.
Allen going deep. First time he's looked to Don Blair tonight. Missed him by about 5 yards.
Back to the drawing board.
Well, it's really hard to explain, isn't it, Glenn?
Well, that's really about all you can say. I mean, this is an offense that is under different terminology. Remember, Joe Powpow designed the offense before he left last season. Okay, and he was the guy who worked with Damon Allen. Now, he also went down to the XFL, and it's been a different offense since he's left.
Just 4:20 to go. Injury timeout here at McMahon Stadium. For the Stampeders on top of the Lions, 28-8 on Wendy's Friday Night Football.
The front play well, they win.
For the Stampeders.
Didn't do that. Eliminate the big plays. 11 completions, none over 25 yards. Didn't do that.
And
that
the name of our new movie.
The Calgary Stampeders win the football game.
Desperate. 2 desperate teams, and the Stampeders came to play. They were a lot more effective, both sides of the football from start to this point of the game. 4:10 to play. 2nd and 10. Allen takes off. He'll run for the touchdown. Damon Allen heads to the end zone and comes up 2 yards shy.
Pretty good hustle there by Deshaun Austin just to knock him out of bounds. He's the nickel back and another newcomer in the Calgary secondary. But here's what happens. Ricky Bell's out here, the defensive back, and Allen can see the void. And when he does, Bell's coming on the blitz, 26. That means that Greg Frères, the safety, has to go cover his man. Allen recognizes it and takes off running. Where was this in the first quarter?
45 yards for Damon Allen down to the 2-yard line. That's about half of what the Lions offense has generated all night long. From the 2-yard line, no shot for Robert Drummond. He's tossed to the turf by Alondra Johnson. He's had a nice night. All-Canadian for the 3rd time last year, Alondra Johnson.
Yeah, he really is, and he's the heart and soul of this defense. 1 sack coming in the game, was 2nd in the league in tackles, got a whole bunch again tonight. You know, and it all starts with Alondra Johnson. It has here for 11 years of his 14-year career.
Actually started as a BC Lion.
That's right.
Lions actually lost a yard on that play by Drummond. So now from the 3-yard line, they'll try and punch it in on 2nd and goal. Allen looks to put it up. This one won't work. Almost intercepted in the end zone.
Still, there's confusion. You know, that was the ball that it kind of looked like the old playground game where Damon Allen is trying to look for Alfred Jackson to the left of your screen there. Jackson breaks out, and Damon Allen throws it like he's going to turn up. Now, either Jackson didn't know he was supposed to do that or Allen threw it to the wrong spot.
Anthony Pryor almost had an easy interception there. Backpedaling into the end zone, Damon Allen. A noisy place, this McMahon Stadium, as the crowd is fired up for Damon Allen's one last chance to get to the end zone here. It's 3rd down and goal to go from the 3. A little shovel pass, Millington, touchdown. You talked about that being added into this BC offensive scheme at Allen's insistence, and it worked well there.
It did, but it's only the 2nd time they've run it in the entire game. They ran it once early in the game. Here comes Millington right underneath here. They run it once early in the game, and they didn't get any yardage with it, and then they abandon it. They come back with it, and they get a pretty good play for a touchdown on 3rd down.
Is it too little too late for the BC Lions? They now trail by 14. The convert will make it 13. So Kellen hammers it through.
Well, you know, the way Marcus Crandall has played in this game, I think, you know, you basically, if you're Steve Barato, you have to go with an onside kick here. I think there's time to kick the ball deep, but Crandall and Kelvin Anderson have been playing pretty well. They put together 2-3 first downs and punted away, and you basically lost your chance. So, you know, I'm thinking
two scores to win this thing.
If you're Steve Barato, you basically roll the dice with the onside kick, and I know there's probably a few guys back in the panel that are saying, shaking their head saying, no, I kick it deep. That's the high percentage. But just looking at the way this game has flowed and the way Calvin Anderson has run and the Calgary offensive line has played, I take the onside kick.
And the Lions really need something to spark to spark this offense.
Yeah, you might as well take your chance. You get it. You got a whole bunch of momentum. Maybe you get the Calgary defense on their heels. I think if you're Steve Barato and you kick this one away and you kick it deep, you basically given up the game. I mean, and it's the high percentage play. And if both offenses are playing well, that's what you do. But this has been a struggling BC defense, or excuse me, offense, and you know, and on the other side of the ball, Calgary offense has played well. So, you know, Calgary gets 3-4 first downs and it's over.
Not all is calm at the Calgary bench after the way this season has begun. But they have to be feeling just a little more confident and relaxed down there with a 13-point lead. There's the short kick.
One-sider.
And the BC Lions come up with the ball at the 50.
Sure do.
Ryan Doak looks like he's got it. Otis Floyd is fighting for it in there, saying he has half the football.
On the hands team, that's what Calgary Stampeders put out there. You put on a bunch of receivers. Matt Kellett's going to try and trickle the ball this way. And when he does, Ibrahim Tumkara has a chance at it. Number 2 right here. He's got a chance to get it, but he gets hit. Now you're allowed to do that, and Doak comes up with it.
So Tunkara had his chance. 2 BC players collided down there.
Well, Barato and I,
comes up with the ball.
Steve Barato and I were on the same page. Take a chance at it. Now you get a little momentum. You never know.
2:44 to play. 1st and 10 Lions. Near midfield. Nice little screen pass. Drummond is wrapped up in a hurry and can't break away.
James Cotton came in there, did a nice job of finding that one. And Wally Buono has been in way too many games in his 139 wins to know that this one isn't over. Steve Barato's just saying, you know, we still have a chance. That's the beauty of this game. You still have a chance, no matter how poorly you played, and that's what the Lions are facing now.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12 facing the Lions. Sideline pattern, and Thelwell comes up with the ball. Ryan Thelwell, his biggest catch of the night.
Well, it's a great catch because he was pushed out of bounds by William Fields, and that's by the discretion of the referees, was pushed out and wouldn't have gone out under his own steam. And right there, well, he even got the foot down. That's quite a catch, you know, and he's caught everything that's thrown to him. It just, he hasn't got a whole lot of balls thrown to him.
He has enough for the first down, so this Lion drive will continue. 2:24 on the clock.
Jeff Traversy is down on one knee, and could be one of a couple things. Either he's a little nicked or he's given that defense a chance to regroup.
Mark Pilon will come in for him if he's able. He was shaken up a couple of plays ago, but Pilon is into the game now, number 93.
He's walking out there. Had to be off for 3 plays, was, and now Jeff Traversy will have to come off for 3 plays.
Quite a week in the CFL. Those Montreal Alouettes continue to roll along. Perfect now at 4-0 tomorrow. It's Toronto with Saskatchewan on Wendy's CFL Live.
First place in the West, staring the Saskatchewan Roughriders right in the face right now.
Well, with the Eskimo loss last night, yes.
Exactly.
Montreal over Edmonton 34-6 last evening. How about Pringle? 3 more touchdowns, 147 more yards. And Hamilton took care of the Blue Bombers 24-19. First 2 games of week 4. This is game 3, and it's not over yet. Allen on first down, far side. A little high for Montana, who might have timed his jump a little early.
Yeah, I think he was on his way down. You're absolutely right, but still a ball. It's a long throw to get to the wide side of the field, and he's getting a little more playing time now. Of course, BC Lions will go with more receivers on the field now because they have to throw the football at this point in the game.
Montana was not a starter in this one tonight. Ryan Thelwell started ahead of him, but he did get into the game in the second half.
And Sean Millington is out, so you see one more receiver in there.
2nd and 10 facing the Lions. Here's the charge. Allen got it away, and Thelwell makes the catch. Battling for a first down. He might be a yard shy, wrapped up by Joe Barnes.
Yeah, see, there's absolutely no backs in the backfield behind Damon Allen. Now, Robert Drummond is in the game, but he's lined up right over here. There's Drummond. No Millington. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 receivers in the formation, and basically that's exactly what Damon Allen has to do. You got to go to throw the football now.
And now the Lions have to go for it on 3rd down and a yard.
Yeah, and you don't mess around at this point. You still got 2:06 left. Go ahead and get the first down on the quarterback sneak or hand it to Millington. But remember, there was quite a collision between Millington and Alondra Johnson on the last situation they were in down here.
Lions go get him for a first down. Oh! Well played as Damon Allen takes it himself and slides safely at the 32-yard line. What a great fake for Damon Allen.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, everyone in the park is thinking Millington, including that defense for the Calgary Stampeders, and Damon Allen just pulls it out of there. Brattle thinking he may be able to run and score on that play if he can get past one secondary guy.
1:47 on the stadium clock. The Stampeders have a 13-point advantage on the BC Lions here in the 4th. It's 28-15. Lions threatening to hit the end zone once more. Thelwell again, stepping out of bounds, a little shy of the first down.
Alfred Jackson was open in the end zone, but Damon Allen thinking clock management right now. Alfred Jackson ran the corner pattern, but it took a little bit longer to develop. He's right here, and he's going to go deep. Greg Frères tries to track him, but is a bit behind. But with Damon Allen thinking on just about the timing of the football game and controlling that clock, trying to come back, he tries to get rid of that ball in a hurry and finds Thelwell.
Thelwell is a yard shy of a first down. This is 2nd and 1.
offensive linemen are out on the hash mark. Only 3 offensive linemen in the formation.
Swing pass to Jackson. Can he get away? Can he get the first down? I'm not sure that he made it. Hammered out by Deshaun Austin.
He got back to the line of scrimmage. This is a very different formation. 1, 2, 3 offensive linemen. The other 2 are over here. They're trying to set up the screen, and they're screening with offensive linemen. See the 2 big guys standing right there? They're hoping those guys can get the blocks. And they did.
They didn't.
Fields comes up, and
he broke up the play, number 29.
Yeah.
Gambling again, and I don't think the Lions have made it this time.
Well, they'll be very, very close. You know, and Robert Drummond kind of got turned away. It looked like if he kept his shoulders square, he might have just fallen forward, but they'll have to measure this now.
It was 3rd and a long yard. After the screen pass didn't work to Jackson, and he lost a yard.
Well, you know, if there is a positive for the Lions when they watch this film, it'll be that in the hurry-up situation, they had a little bit of success. And again, I can't emphasize enough that the Calgary defense playing way differently at this point in the game than they did at the beginning.
Well, this drive will continue. The Lions do come up with a first down by that much. 1:26 to go. BC needs 2 scores to win this thing. They're down by 13, so 2 touchdowns necessary. And for the Lions right now, take them one at a time. Score here and hope to get the ball back with time to win it. Allen looks to the corner. Out of bounds on the toss to Alfred Jackson.
Yeah, again, Alfred Jackson sort of looks like he has some indecision running this pattern. It's not crisp. Alfred Jackson usually run it like this and this. What he does is he kind of runs and he bananas it over into that corner. And when he does that, it gives Joe Barnes a chance to just kind of run with him. So he just kind of runs straight down into that corner, and then Damon Allen really doesn't have any place to put the football for him.
So it's another 2nd and long situation facing BC. 2nd and 10. At the Stampeders 21. Allen throwing on the run. Don Blair has his first catch of the night, 2nd catch of the night.
Well, now the officials may have to go to the time clock because I don't think a second came off the clock there. The snap of the ball was, well, understand now there was 3 seconds that came off the clock. There's 1:02 now. It started at 1:05. That was a quick play by the Lions.
Another first down for BC. Allen to the end zone. Touchdown, Ryan Thelwell. Well, he got a chance to start tonight, and he got his first CFL touchdown here in Calgary.
Yeah, and I think the coaching staff will see some good things in Ryan Thelwell. I mentioned earlier that he hasn't dropped a pass thrown his way.